Bengals and Jaguars. What a game that was tonight as Joe Burrow leads the Bengals down and for a field goal game-winning drive to end the game. And this one was kind of an interesting one as the Bengals started out down by 14. They came back, tied it up. Both teams scored again in the fourth quarter, 21-21, and then 4 minutes remaining, 5 to 4 minutes remaining. Joe Burrow leads the team down and runs down the clock, and they get the game-winning field goal with 4 seconds remaining. Now, this one was a good game for the Bengals. Yes, it was a scary one as the Jaguars nearly knocked them off in Cincinnati. But yet the Bengals were still able to pull it with a win and be able to advance to 3-1, undefeated at home, 2-0, as they look to have a strong start as we are nearing a fourth of the way into the season. Not quite there yet, because now there are 17 games. So I guess when we reach quarter number 1 next week, that's when we're officially a fourth of the way through the season. Though, at this point, though, it's safe to say that the Bengals have had a good start to their season, as they have knocked off the Vikings in week 1 in overtime. I remember watching that overtime. That was a really good game put together by the Bengals. Good ending by Joe Burrow once again, with leading for the field goal winning drive. Then they fell to the Bears, but Joe Burrow threw 3 interceptions to start off the second half. Don't forget that. Had he not made those interceptions, the Bengals probably could have won and advanced to 2-0. Then they upset the Steelers in Pittsburgh at Heinz Field in week 3 with a stunner as Joe Burrow went off for 3 touchdowns, 14 for 18 for 172 yards, though he did throw a pick. And then Joe Mixon had a 90-yard game off of 18 carries. Then tonight, Joe Burrow had another really good game, 348 yards, but he went 25 for 32, 7 incompletions. Off of 25 passes, he was able to accumulate 348 yards and 2 touchdowns. Joe Mixon was able to rush for 1 touchdown with 16 carries and 67 yards. And Tyler Boyd really had a monster game too. He had 9 receptions, 118 yards. Uzoma had 5 receptions for 95 yards. Chase 6 for 77. So their receiving core has been pretty good. P. Ryan had a catch for 15 yards, and that was a huge one as in that game-winning drive. And yeah, I mean, pretty much Joe Burrow showed us his game-winning gene. And the Bengals are looking really amazing right now. Now, can they have a winning season? Let us look at their schedule. So next week they'll take on the Packers, but it will be in Cincinnati, and maybe the Packers may look past them. Who knows? I mean, the Packers first need to take care of business as they play. Hang on, let me check. The Packers will play the Steelers this weekend. Then they'll travel to Cincinnati. But I think the Bengals could pull off an upset in Cincinnati. We will see how the Packers end up doing, though this one could be a better game than a lot of people will anticipate for. And the Bengals do have the benefit of having 3 extra days of rest, as well as the Bengals will then head to Detroit to take on a Detroit Lions team that is still figuring out how to put a full game together and win. That one could be a dicey one, but I could see the Bengals getting the win in Detroit. Then they'll travel to Baltimore. I think they may lose in Baltimore, but then they'll travel to New York. I feel like that defense can shut down Zach Wilson. I feel like the Bengals could possibly win that one. Then they'll head back home for the Browns. Maybe they could split with the Browns if they start out, 4-2 or 5-2 or 4-3. They could definitely take down the Browns. I feel like they could compete with the Browns, have the energy, and take down the Browns. And then the Raiders, that one will be a tricky one. They may fall there. But they'll get the Steelers again. We'll see where the Steelers are at, as the Steelers have been on and off this year, as they have dropped their last two and beat Buffalo in week 1. Then they'll have a Justin Herbert, Joe Burrow match to see who truly is the best 2020 NFL draft quarterback. Then they'll take on the 49ers, but it will be at home for the Bengals. And it will be December, the weekend of my birthday, actually, December 12th. Then they'll travel to Denver, and Denver was a tough place to play at. Then they'll head back home for the Ravens. They could pull up the upset on the Ravens. Then the Chiefs, they may lose to the Chiefs, and then they play the Browns. So honestly, it really just depends on how this Bengals team plays. I think if they beat the Vikings and the Steelers, and then they, pull off on the Jaguars with the game-winning drive, they could probably win some games this year. It is hard to say if they are legit yet, though. I'm going to say, though, that they will win some games this year. It might be a little too early to tell if they're legit because of their competition. Vikings were a good competition. It's just, we don't know how the Steelers and Bears are going to turn out for the rest of the season, and Jags too. But maybe these wins help the Bengals improve, and they are ready to win. Because I think this Bengals team does have the potential to have a winning season. It's just they are playing some really good teams too, so they're really going to have to bring in their A game and compete to the highest level. And Joe Burrow is going to have to do his best to not make more than one or two interceptions per game. But he started in the right direction with 0 interceptions tonight. Led his team very well, very poised, as Joe Burrow is my favorite quarterback. I've loved him since LSU, and I think that the Bengals are poised for a potential good season. They may not have a breakout year per se or make the playoffs, but I think that they will have a good competitive season, and I think they will play at a high level than a lot of people gave them credit for heading into this year. And they may have a winning season. We will see. It may be a 9-8 season, but they could have a winning season. I guess we'll take a look at how things unravel. But I think the Bengals are a real team. I will be bold and say they are a real team. They're not playoff contenders yet, but they are a real team, and teams should take them seriously. They're no longer the old ladies of the poor. They are a team that's ready to play football. And yeah, that's my thoughts on the wrap up of the game. Very impressed with the Bengals, but I also want to shout out Trevor Lawrence. This was his best game. He was able to get a touchdown on the ground, and he didn't get a single pick tonight. This was Trevor Lawrence's best game, and I want to give him a shout out, and I want to give James Robinson a shout out. 18 for 78 yards, and he rushed for 2 touchdowns. 18 carries, excuse me. And I also want to send my prayers out to DJ Chark, who was carted off with an ankle fracture. Hopefully he recovers fast, and we hopefully he's just doing well right now. I hate to see such a young, talented player like DJ Chark get injured, and I just send prayers out to his family. And I'm really impressed with the Bengals. Can't wait to see how things go for the rest of the season. What are your guys' thoughts on the Bengals? What did you guys think of tonight? Let me know down below. Video suggestions, also let me know. Be sure to let me know. And I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.